Hey darlings, today I want to talk about effectively communicating your needs and how we can feel like maybe we are communicating them, but we're not. So one of the things I struggle with is feeling like I want someone more than they want me. And this has come up with my main partner, Five, because I would say things like, oh, I'm going to miss you. If maybe I wasn't going to see him for a day or so because I like seeing him every day. And, when I'd say things like that, he would say something like, well, absence makes the heart grow fonder, or it will be more exciting when we do get to see each other, or these kind of like, these pros to the problem. And then I would just feel kind of bad because I'm like, man, like I'm missing him, or I'm gonna miss him, and he's just like, oh, this will be like awesome to have this separation. And separation, I do know, is good for you. You're supposed to have that space and everything like that. And I'm okay with that. But it was just that sense of like, oh man, I'm gonna miss him, and he's not going to care, basically. And this came up another time where he normally works in the same place I work, about an hour from where we live. So we drive in together, we work, and we drive back. And normally you're just able to talk and catch up, and usually we like hold hands. And sometimes I'll read the story that I'm working on, and he can give me pointers, so kind of like my beta reader or beta listener. And he wasn't going to be able to do that for a couple of days. He had to work somewhere else. And not only that, I had to work super late until like 9. So I wasn't going to really see him all day for a couple of days. And I was thinking, oh man, like I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss the drive. I'm going to miss the evening because it's supposed to be, our evenings together because being poly and everything. So like, oh man, like my evenings are the ones where I don't get to see him. I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. And, again, he said something like, well, and I was like, well, like it sucks. I feel like I'm going to miss you and you're not going to miss me. And he was telling me about how he had to work sometimes. He'd be gone for like 6 weeks out of town and wouldn't get to see his family, and how he couldn't really allow himself to miss them, or he wouldn't be able to get his work done. And so it was just kind of like he trained itself out of him. And I'm like, oh, well, that really sucks that you had to do that and that you had to be away so much. And like I feel empathy towards that, but I also still feel kind of bummed that I'm the one being like, oh, I'm gonna miss you, and that he's just like, I don't miss people. I trained it out of me, kind of thing. I was like, oh, man. And then he said something like, well, and I have to do this. Like, it just work. They need me over here. And the way he said it, I was like, wait, does he think I'm upset because he has to work? I'm like, man, I'm a tiny bit bummed, but like, I get it. I'm like, I'm not complaining about reality or being like, bend reality to your will. Because I think he also said something like, oh, if I could work from home, I would, or like, be around more. And I was like, oh. I'm like, no, that's not why I'm upset. Like, I totally get it. Like, you have to work somewhere else. That's totally fine. It's more just, I feel bummed because I don't want to be the only person in the relationship missing the other person. And I don't know if at that time, a light bulb went off or whatever, but today sent me a little message, and it was something along the lines of, like, I missed driving to work with you this morning and holding your hand the whole way, and it made me feel so warm and happy and loved and wanted. And it was just something small, but it meant a ton to me. And I was like, oh, like I wasn't adequately communicating exactly what I meant, or at least not in a way that worked for his brain. Because for him, I was sad because I wasn't going to see him, and then he was trying to comfort me by being like, oh, well, but it will be really awesome when we do see each other, or, the absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I can't change this kind of thing. And so that was cool. And it's interesting because it can be so hard for me to ask for what I want. But the other day, I had another realization because, my other kind of partner, Ronnie, sent a message to her partner, and she showed it to us, and it was explaining her needs, and she's being very open and vulnerable, and like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and I would love X, Y, and Z to help me feel better, for reassurance. And it went over really well, but she was saying it was so hard to ask for that. I'm like, yeah, I can see how that would be hard. Like, I do have a really difficult time being like, yeah, could I please have some of this? Because I think we can have this thought that if someone's not just already giving you that thing, that they don't want to. But they might not know that you want that thing. Like if somebody came to me and was like, hey, I would really like this. This would help me. And I didn't know it was a thing they needed. Like I'd be so happy to do that for them. As long as it makes sense or is it like super, irrational to give. But I asked, my main partner 5 about that. I'm like, well, what did you think of the message? And he's like, I would love to get something like that, to have something super clear, to be like, this is what I'm feeling. These are the things I would like you to do to help. Because he's like, I'm a dude and we can be dumb. And so just having something like straightforward, clear cut is awesome. And I was like, what? Like that, I was like mind blown, because to me, asking for stuff feels like needy or annoying, or like I said, that maybe that's not a thing they want to give if they're already doing it, but they might just not know. I'm still like, what? So I want to get better about being more intentional about what I ask. And if it's something where if I ask for it and I'm not really getting what I'm looking for, to not just assume something negative, because that's what I was doing before. Like I wasn't asking in a way that made sense to him, and so he was trying to help in his way but it wasn't working. I was just feeling worse. And when I finally was able to kind of figure it out and communicate it correctly, then he gave the thing that I've been wanting, and it was awesome. So yeah, let's all be better about it, because I bet if people care about us and love us, like, they would be thrilled to do those things that help us feel safer and wanted and loved and all that stuff. So yeah, we got this. Okay, bye.